Thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. You're here for the session, Making the Right Pages Call, how to leverage Twilio and Whitepages Pro to build dynamic call flows for your business. So what we want to cover today during this session is talk a little bit about the commercial opportunity for businesses behind phone calls, how to develop intelligent call flows for your business, how to segment the call lifecycle to maximize value. And then Allison has a great demo that she's going to walk through and an illustration of some of the use cases that we see through Twilio and the Twilio marketplace. And our goal for this presentation is for everybody to leave this session with an idea or two that they can take back to their company or their team related to how they can improve their call flow for their business. So to illustrate the opportunity behind calls, BIA Kelsey published this statistic that call commerce influences over $1 trillion in US consumer spending per year. And it's not all just driven on customer acquisition related activities. Gartner believes that by 2020, over 90% of all online fraud detection solutions will incorporate IVRs or call-related functionality. So there's a massive line of business opportunity for any customer or any company looking to add call intelligence to their business. So we're all in this audience today because we're interested in phone calls, and there's something that everybody who works with inbound phone calls on a regular basis can agree upon. They're trying to improve the conversion rates and keep their customers generally happy. And we're all here today because Twilio has really transformed what's possible with any sort of call-related use case. Initially, the value was simply adding call or text functionality to an app, but we've all seen that functionality proliferate through any app that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. And what we see is really exciting in our partnership with Twilio is they've created the add-on marketplace, which allows you to layer data solutions on top of that existing call functionality to build the most dynamic solutions possible for your customers. Now, when building a call-related application, generally what we see is businesses are focused on primarily on that customer engagement. But the way we view it at Whitepages Pro is there's actually a real opportunity before and after the call to maximize the value of those engagements with your customers. It's not all easy though, because when you're dealing with phone calls, there's often a limited number of signals available, and most call-related use cases are extremely sensitive from a speed and latency perspective and don't want to disrupt any of that customer interaction. So what I'm going to cover in these next couple slides is some trends that we see in the industry, some opportunities which within each of these different segments in the call lifecycle, and some solutions that we recommend you take a look at to see how they can help you build more intelligent call flows. So Gartner believes by this year, 35% of all customer support will take place on a mobile device, up over 300% since 2014. So businesses have this new opportunity on the onset of a phone call to route or prioritize calls, just given that massive trend. Businesses, from what we see, are interested in omni-channel communication. So they want to understand, would a customer prefer the engagement to take place via mobile device, via chat, via any of the over-the-top chat apps that they use today? There's also a lot of call centers that are operating extremely high volume call centers and need to prioritize the calls that they're receiving to drive the highest conversion rate possible. And on top of that, businesses, since it is pre-call and there's those latency considerations, all this must be done in an automated manner with real-time decisions so it's not disrupting any of those phone calls. So when we're looking at pre-call solutions, generally the focus is on conversion rates. There's all sorts of contextual data, contextual call information that businesses can look at. For example, was there a specific page or a search term that led that caller to place that phone call? Is there any metadata associated with that phone call that would be value from a routing and prioritization decision? So an example of that would be, we see in a lot of inbound call use cases, calls coming in from, say, a non-fixed voice over IP number. It could be a Google Voice or a Skype number. Those numbers typically in a call center or an inbound call environment require unique treatment. We also see, generally speaking, spam is a major problem for inbound call centers. So businesses need a way to very easily filter out any sort of spammy activity that's gonna clog up their call queue and potentially prevent businesses from getting to the highest value customers. And in order to make sort of the most sense of this data, we recommend interactive voice response systems like Twilio's Task Router, which really allows businesses to set up some sort of smart routing system with rules and worker rules to properly route and prioritize calls in a managed format that doesn't require ongoing development. A success story that we've seen related to pre-call is a company called R-Squared Telecom. R-Squared Telecom was receiving a number of complaints related to call quality from their customers, and they actually identified the Whitepages Pro add-on through the Twilio Marketplace and had a solution up and running in under 2 days. And they saw a 90% reduction in customer service ticket requests just from that change. Now, this statistic by Gartner is really fascinating. So by 2022, digital businesses with a great customer experience during the identity corroboration process will earn 20% more revenue than their peers with a poor customer experience. So we love the quote, "Don't treat your customers like a criminal when you're interacting with them." I think anybody in this room can identify those situations where you've called into an inbound call center. The verification process has seemed over the top and cumbersome. And we understand that businesses need to have a thorough verification process for their customers, but consumers really do expect for businesses to know who they're interacting with and make that process as streamlined as possible. Some of the key metrics that are tracked on an inbound call use case during this customer segmentation are first call resolution. Additionally, average handling time is really important. And what we see a lot of is in situations where businesses have siloed data sets, there's plenty of services out there that can tie together those disparate databases and provide a single point of view for that customer. So when that engagement does happen, an agent is going to be that much better equipped to properly handle the question or the inquiry at hand. When it comes to situations where it's a more of a sales-oriented use case, and a business may not know as much information about a customer, third-party sources like Whitepages Pro can be really helpful because that consumer on the other line doesn't have to spend all that time providing that information or verifying their identity. It's all presented to the agent, and they can just verify what they're seeing on the screen in front of them. We also hear in an inbound call use case that a lot of, especially on the offshore call centers, they're onboarding lots of new agents, and there's large training requirements there. But agents tend to be much more satisfied with the reduction in manual data entry. So that's one other thing to consider. And in situations where it's a very security-heavy use case, whether it's a financial services or a banking-related use cases, there's plenty of solutions out there like pin drop security that's actually doing audio analysis that can help you actually authenticate the customer that you're currently talking to. An example that we have seen through the Twilio Marketplace during the customer engagement stage is a company called OfficeSpace.com, which is an online directory for commercial real estate agents. When they implemented third-party data as part of their platform, their agents on their platform increased their usage of the product by over 30%. So providing that rich data really does add value during this stage of the process. And finally, after the engagement has taken place, there's many opportunities to consider post-call. So by 2018, 30% of organizations will improve customer experience by integrating customer journey maps with business process models, according to Gartner. Even today, at our booth upstairs, we had several folks stop by that were mentioning the frustrations of standardizing the data capture process as part of the call. So the frustration there is around inaccurate or incomplete data. That makes it really challenging to complete those journey maps, that every marketing team is striving to improve. There's a number of businesses that are more on the performance marketing side. And so understanding which calls they're forwarding onto their partners are actually driving conversions is how they get paid. So the more data you have up front, the better. And then finally, everybody in this room, I'm sure, is spending a tremendous amount of money making the phone ring. So it's important to have advanced analytic tools available to you so that you can determine which activities are contributing to that. So this is a great opportunity for everybody to maximize the lifetime value of their customer. There's a couple different solutions that we'd like to point out and for your consideration. So on top of Twilio, there's a number of call tracking businesses that are built. These call tracking businesses are going to allow you to understand, was it a page word or a keyword, a keyword or a specific billboard, for example, that drove that customer to make that phone call to kind of kick off that customer journey. And then there's call scoring solutions. There's a great service provider named Voicebase that actually does audio transcriptions and can score calls in real time. So you can actually understand during the engagement, was there certain keywords or phrases that led to that customer purchasing? All of this can be leveraged sort of after the call has taken place. And additionally, what we see a lot of, especially in this performance call-related space, this could be call tracking or any sort of affiliate marketing use case. A lot of businesses are compensated based on the calls they provide. But when you only have a phone number to sort of match up the call that you sent to your partner's transactions, that's not a lot to match off of. So having full identity records is going to give companies a lot more visibility into the traffic that they drove. And then finally, demographic databases. So at Whitepages Pro, our belief is that it's most important to have a standardized process up front so you get the most accurate details about your consumers that possible. And then you can layer on specific attributes that matter to your business. We receive requests all the time. Can you tell me, is this house a house that's a candidate for solar panels? Or how many bathrooms are in this house? Or what is sort of the net worth of this individual? And all that data is available, but having sort of a authoritative record up front to query off of is what we believe is the right approach. We work with a company called Scorpion Marketing, and they actually have a session coming up this afternoon. But by implementing our caller ID solution, they were actually able to improve campaign effectiveness by over 200% by optimizing their marketing spend according to some of the post-call data that they were looking at. So a little bit about Whitepages Pro. Whitepages Pro is a global identity verification company. We focus very heavily on mobile data, which aligns very well with this conference. We believe that a mobile phone number is sort of replacing some of the sensitive data like social security numbers and other PII to identify consumers. We source data from over 100 different global sources. We work with a number of real-time providers for instances when we actually aren't able to get data in our graph. Our data graph today is about 5 billion records, and we're sort of updating or refreshing over 2 billion of those on a monthly basis. The way we differentiate in the marketplace is on, number one, coverage and accuracy. We work with a number of telco-related use cases where latency is a major consideration, so speed is a big focus for us. And then enterprise support and uptime. We have 3 products that we're really excited to talk about. Allison's got a great demo of these products that she's going to go over in a little bit, but they're all focused on phone-related lookups. So our caller identification products will give you insight into the name of the person or business associated with the phone number, as well as the address and demographic details. Our phone intelligence product is a phone validation service, but what we do is we go a level deeper on the carrier and line type data. So you can understand different risk segments or different pockets of carriers and line types that may allow you to optimize conversions in your call or onboarding experience. And then finally, our phone reputation product. This is used millions of times on a monthly basis today. And every business that's dealing with inbound phone calls has received some level. We receive them on our personal phones every day. So businesses are beginning to receive spam phone calls at a significant scale too. So we have our phone reputation product, which helps weed out those spam calls with a high degree of confidence. And now I'm going to pass it over to Allison, who's going to walk you through a demo of some of the products that we have in the Twilio marketplace and illustrate some of these use cases that I've previously mentioned.
Thank you, Jordan. Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay before I get started? Okay, cool, great. Hello, my name is Allison Andrews, and I'm a Twilio Partner Manager at Whitepages Pro. This is my first Signal, so I'm very excited to be here. I hope you guys are having a good time so far. Before I get into my demo, which is a live demo, so let's cross your fingers that it works, because live demos are always tricky, I want to chat a little bit about the marketplace. Obviously, I'm sure that if you haven't heard about it up until today, you've heard about it previously. Everyone knows what the marketplace is, or do some people? Okay, I see some hands. I'm going to take it a step further. How many of you have actually purchased an add-on through the marketplace? Anyone? A couple?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So if you don't know what Twilio's marketplace is, it's where you can purchase add-ons from other companies to layer intelligence onto your existing data pools. So for example, you could purchase our caller ID add-on that Jordan was just talking about to add identity intelligence to phone numbers that are, for example, coming into your call center. I'm going to get more into that in a little bit with the demo, but I wanted to chat a little bit about what it takes basically to build the marketplace and where the solution comes from, why Twilio Marketplace is so amazing. So when it comes to building out something like the marketplace or building APIs, there are definitely some challenges that come along with it, right? First of all, it takes resources. It takes bodies, it takes engineers, it takes people, and for some businesses, it may not fit budget-wise to do so at the time, to be able to build a new API and bring those people on. Second, it takes time, right? This isn't something that is able to be built in a couple of days or even a business day or a couple of hours. This can take weeks, if not months, to build out a new API for a new product. And third, you have to build everything from the ground up for the most part from a new API product. You're not starting somewhere just being able to plug and play. And the great thing about Twilio's marketplace is they've already done all the work for you in order to capture that data. So again, from Twilio's website, where their marketplace overview, you can instantly access integrated partner technologies like Whitepages Pro and enhance your data that way. So I'm going to share this in a second, but ultimately, one thing that makes the the Twilio marketplace so great is the fact that they have a one-click install, and that's literally exactly what it is. I'm going to show you in a second. A couple benefits of that. First of all, you're dealing with a single API integration, so you don't have to worry about pulling from multiple APIs and doing multiple queries. You're getting everything in one API pull. Second, you're dealing with a single bill. So for your accounting department, it's probably super helpful to not be receiving multiple invoices from multiple companies throughout different times of the month. You're getting it once from Twilio. Third, it's a single contract. So not only are you able to not have to deal with multiple companies and contracts and dealing with all that, you're going through Twilio, but also a great thing is it's pay as you go. So if for some reason your KPIs change or your strategy shifts over time and you're wondering, I now have to pay for this data for the next 6 months, even though I'm not going to use it, the great thing about Twilio is you don't have to. It's a pay as you go. So you can choose when you want to turn it on and off. And lastly, like I mentioned earlier, there's no development time. This is a great time savings for your engineers or your developers, and the fact that you're not having to build anything from the ground up. They've already built it for you. So I'm going to get into my live piece here. Okay, so this is the Twilio Console. For those of you who are Twilio customers, this probably looks pretty familiar to you. If not, this is exactly what the dashboard looks like when you log in. This is our account. So what I'm going to show you is how, where the marketplace is and how to install an add-on. So I'm going to go over here to these 3 little dots, and I'm going to scroll down to the marketplace right here and click on the add-ons button. Okay, thank you. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to click on the Whitepages Pro Caller Identification add-on, but there's about 24 or so products in the marketplace that you can scroll and kind of see what fits your guys' basic needs and use case. So in here, you'll see there's literally a button. It says install. When I said one-click install, I wasn't joking. It's very simple to do. So you're going to agree to the terms of service, and you're going to install said application, and you're good to go. From there, you can configure it however you would like based on your use case. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to do incoming voice and lookups, and I'm going to hit save. The great thing about the marketplace is you're able to see some descriptions, and you can see some sample code of what that will look like, as well as in the developer documentation, you can see the result fields, as well as a sample response as well for any of the products. So now I'm going to take this one step further. I know that when people are evaluating a new add-on, you definitely want to make sure that you want to test the data yourself, right? To understand what data is available to you, what the coverage is like. So if this is just a one-off use case, Twilio has a great tool for that in their developer center. Versus if you wanted to do a mass upload or do some sort of data test, we could definitely help in that aspect. So for the one-offs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the developer tools section and hit runtime. We're going to be using the API Explorer. And then I'm going to go to the lookup section, and we're going to be looking up a phone number. So this is the phone number of Trevor Anderson. He leads our sales engineering team, and he graciously let me his phone number for the sake of this demo. The other piece I'm going to fill in is in the add-on section. You will see this in your developer documentation, so you can, it depends on what add-on you are using, but we are going to be using the Whitepages Pro caller ID. And then I'm just going to make that request. You can see the request is pretty fast off the bat. Just something to take into consideration. We obviously are on the internet where so many other people are using the internet at the same time, and we're also in a web-based platform, so it's definitely going to be slower versus if you were to put this into a programming setting, your developers or you as a developer would definitely see this to be even faster. So this is possible to get all of this data pre-call if that's something that's interesting to you. A couple of things I want to point out in the JSON response here. Our caller ID has so many other data points in it, but I'm just going to highlight 3 of them. The first is going to be person information. So here you can see, as I mentioned, Trevor Anderson. If he had a salutation or a suffix or a middle initial or middle name associated, all of that data would pop up in this field. If I scroll down a little bit, there's also demographic information like Jordan was speaking about. So if you were interested in understanding your customers holistically and wanted to be able to pull a sample off 10,000 phone numbers, all that demographic data is available to you so you can understand what is your male to female ratio or what is your most popular demographic. If I scroll down to the bottom here, you can also get some phone metadata details. So as Jordan also mentioned, we take it one step deeper and allow you to see, is this prepaid? Is it a valid phone? What's the line type and the carrier? So you can understand, is this AT&T? Is it a Google Voice number? Is it Skype? And you can kind of go from there. So this is the interactive demo part in which we talked about earlier. So I'm going to need you guys to take your phones out if you guys want to win the gift card, which who doesn't want an Amazon gift card? So I'm going to take this a step further. So ultimately, I'm going to show you how to tie a phone number with identity data, and we're going to do it visually on an interactive map. So if you guys could dial that phone number for me, that would be wonderful. I'm going to give people a couple of minutes. And so people are going to start popping up here. What you're going to see is just going to be the first initial, your last name, carrier information, as well as location. It's cool to see where everyone's from. So thank you for calling.
More spread out than we expected.
Yeah, I expected a lot of people to be from San Francisco and the West Coast. We've got a lot of East Coasters and Midwest. This is awesome. Wow. Okay, perfect. So as people are still popping in, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much. We're going to randomly pick someone to win the gift card in a second. So ultimately, this is just a visual representation, right? And obviously, the name, city, and carrier type are just a couple of different pieces that our caller ID shows. This is just what we're choosing to show you today. But how could you use this in a real-life situation? Ultimately, a couple examples, you could do geographic routing for call centers. So for example, if you were a national or a global company and you had call centers throughout the nation or throughout the globe, for example, Who is that? Jay Wendit in Arizona, for example. They perhaps, or if you had like a call center that was on the West Coast, you wanted to route him to, you could do that. Or if maybe he was calling at like 11 p.m. and your West Coast was closed, you could route him to another available call center that could help him. Second is really to understand who's calling you and just to validate that they are who they say they are. So you can, as you're on the phone with them, you already have all of their location information, their address, their name, demographic information, and as you just ask them questions, it's just a validating service. And then third, because I love data, this is my favorite, but it's basically a post-call analytics using a heat map. So you could use something like this, or you could create your own heat map visually. And this is great if you really want to analyze and understand your audience from basic, like a marketing perspective, or to be able just to get a deeper level of understanding of who your customers are. So you can see where they're located, what type of phone or carrier they have, what their demographics are they male or female, where they live, even down to if they live in a single resident house or a condo unit. You can get very, very granular in the details. And so there's a ton of different data that's available that you can kind of pivot in a variety of different ways to learn more about your customer. So I'm just going to randomly pick someone. I'm going to go, so if your name is M. Streep, will you come find us after this, or like come up to our booth, or you can come find us and we'll chat with you about the gift card? Someone want to raise your hand? Love it. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to pass this back to Jordan.
All right. How about a flawless demo by Allison? That was great. So just to wrap things up, today what we've talked about is the commercial opportunity for businesses behind phone calls, how to develop a more intelligent call flow for any sort of inbound phone call use case that you're pursuing, how to evaluate throughout that call life cycle some of the solutions that could be integrated, and then how you can implement an add-on like Whitepages Pro through the Twilio add-on marketplace. Like we mentioned before, our goal for this session was to give everybody in this audience a couple ideas of things that they could evaluate as part of their call flow and see how they can incorporate that into their business. Now, what we wanted to offer everybody that attended this session, and I think anybody that participated in the demo that Allison just did received a text message, but sometimes we understand that it's challenging to actually evaluate your call flow from a data perspective. So anybody in the audience is able to go to this bit.ly site /WP Signal, and we'd be more than happy to do a data analysis for you. And we've also made it really easy for anybody that uses Twilio to extract those phone numbers and make it a really seamless process. So that about wraps it up. If you guys have any questions, feel free to grab us after the session, or we've got a booth upstairs. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, you guys.